Hi, good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to share my pearl of wisdom with you. And today's message is really about just be nice, smile, say hello to everyone that comes in your path. My personal story, for those of you that don't know, I was a graphic designer, and that was my form of education. I went to Parsons School of Design in New York, and I graduated in the 80s, and I was a graphic designer for 25 plus years. I'm actually still do it on the side. Anyway, I got very close with my dean, whose name was Don Higgins. And every semester I would go to Don, and he would help me plan my curriculum for the following term. He would suggest which classes would be better for me, what I'd enjoy, what I would benefit from. And we had a very special relationship. Now, I was just an Orthodox girl from Brooklyn, going to school, two little kids, but I did my part, and I showed up, and I'd see him, I'd smile, I'd say hi. And other than that, we didn't really see each other that much, from occasion to occasion, but mostly it was every semester I'd go into his office, and I would sit with him, and we'd plan the next term. And he left Parsons. I used to follow him before he left Parsons. I would go and bring him, when I did wine labels for Kesser, or I did some other big projects. I would go to visit him and show him my work so that he would just have nachas. He would enjoy and, be happy to see what I was accomplishing. And then one day I got a phone call from somebody, and she said to me, is this Devorah Cohn? I said, yes. She says, I just hung up with someone, Mr. Higgins, and he spoke highly of you, and I want to meet you. This was to get a job. And I went on the interview, and I had a job 5 minutes later. And I called Don a few weeks later, and I said, what did you tell her that she hired me? And he says, I told her that you are responsible. And I remember saying, responsible? You didn't tell her about my talents? And he said, 80% of a job is responsible, reliable. And then, of course, I told her how wonderful you are. So I thanked him for that. And then one day I called Parsons, and I asked for him, and they said, he's no longer with us. And I said, well, where is he? And they said, he moved to Pratt. So I went to Pratt, and I brought him more of my samples, and we just kept in touch. And, he was like an older man to me. I was, early 20s. Older man with a gray beard and a tummy, but he just was like a teddy bear. So I would visit him in Pratt. And then he came one day, a couple years after that, he came to visit me. I was working at the time at the United Nations, and he wanted to visit me. That was a first. So we set up a time. I went down to the UN hotel, and we spoke for about an hour and a half. At that meeting, he actually told me that he was gay. I had never known that. Anyway, we had a really good conversation. And then he gave me a very big hug. And we said goodbye, and that was it. I thought everything was okay. About 2 weeks later, I called Pratt because I wanted to ask Don something. And they answered, he's no longer with us. So I had heard those words before, so I said, okay, where did he move to? And there was silence. And they said he passed away the day before. And they didn't know why. They thought it was a heart attack. I was so sad, but also so grateful that I had got to see him a few weeks before. Several months later, that was September, several months later, I'd say February, I got a bell, the doorbell rings, and my mailman says, Devorah, I have a certified letter for you. And I said, Louis, what did I do? I didn't do anything. What is this? It says 4 lawyers' names on it. He says, I'm sure it's something good. Open it up. So I signed for the letter, and I opened it up. And Don had left me on his will. He had 7 people on the top of this piece of paper. I was one of 7. And it said, divide my 2 apartments, sell my 2 apartments in Manhattan, and divide it equally by these 7. And then on the bottom, it had about 40 people, and it said these people could take anything in the apartment. This came from the executor, who was his brother. However, his brother was fighting the will, and so, long story short, I never got anything. But you know what? I got so much. I felt like I won an Oscar award, because who would know that me just saying hi and good morning, how are you, to the dean, he had thousands of students, that I would make such an impact on this one person. Who would know that? Anyway, I never got anything, but I got so much. I got this lesson that I'm sharing with you. Say hello. Smile when you meet somebody. You never know, 1, what they're going through. 2, if it's their last day. 3, if anyone else has looked their way at all. You might be the only one communicating with these people. So do your part, regardless if they say hello back to you. Every morning I say hello to whoever I pass by when I go walking, and I'm always smiling. Some don't even look at me. I don't take it, I don't get upset. I don't take it personally. I know I'm spreading my light, and then it's up to them to receive it. And I grew up with a dad that every morning, we lived on the same street as the Jewish school and the Erasmus, the public school. My dad would say good morning to everyone that passed by, black, white, lady, man, old, young, Jewish, not Jewish, it didn't matter. And that's the education that I had. Smile, say hello to people. You never, never know what you're doing for them. I was lucky enough to find out many years later that I had obviously such an impact on Don, or I would not have been one of those 7 people. God bless and have a great day.